Welcome to the Addiction Solution Podcast. I'm Michelle Dunbar. Enjoy listening and watching as addiction experts Mark Sheeran and I cover controversial as well as helpful topics on addiction, how to move past it, and other related subjects. As two of the co-founders of the Freedom Model, Mark and I will give you a completely new perspective on the topics that matter to you. We will take to task the Recovery Society's lies and misinformation and replace them with facts, research, and the methods to move on from addiction struggles without 12-step meetings, rehabs, and the shackles of endless recovery. Let's escape the treatment and recovery trap together and learn to be free. Welcome to the truth. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Addiction Solution. I'm Michelle Dunbar.
And I'm Mark Sheeran, and we wrote the Freedom Model for Addictions, Escape the Treatment and Recovery Trap with our colleague, Stephen Slate.
We just want to tell you quick about our solution to addiction workshops and coaching packages. I'm not sure everybody knows about them. They've become incredibly popular, and we're having tremendous success working with people in this way. The Solution to Addiction Workshop and the Solution to PMO and Sex Addiction Workshop are both available as standalone courses. But if you want, you can combine them with our 3-session coaching package that involves 3 sessions, 90-minute sessions with either Mark or me or a Freedom Model coach over the course of about 3 weeks. Sometimes people extend that out a little bit, but this seems to work incredibly well.
Yeah, it's very efficient. It's very effective because the workshop frames everything out so beautifully. Plus, you get, what else do you get? You get the online program.
3 months of the online program because there are a lot of people that struggle to read this book.
It's 470 pages. Not everybody's going to read it.
No, and not everybody needs to read the whole thing.
That's right.
So with the coaching package, you can meet with us. We can say, hey, I think you would benefit from looking at these chapters, watching these video lessons. That online program gives you video tutorials of the entire book. So, and we add new video lessons every single month.
That's right.
And you get to talk with us, the two of us together, on the last Wednesday of every month as well.
Right. That's in addition to the coaching session.
Yes. So that will extend out. So if your 3 coaching sessions are done in month 1, you'd get the opportunity to talk with us in month 2 and month 3 as well. Okay. So this is a tremendous value, and we really want everybody to know about it because we've had such success with it. So,
and we have that for PMO and sex addiction now too, as a standalone unit. So we have the workshop and the coaching package for substance use, and then we have it for PMO and sex addiction as well.
So you can find those at thefreedommodel.org. It's right in the menu. They're the first 2 options in our menu. So pick the one that you want. Or if you want to talk with us, you can call us at 888-424-2626. That first phone call with us is absolutely free, and we can help you figure out what might work best for you.
All right, everybody.
So today we're going to talk about changing a habit, changing routine. And just as we were starting this, I was going to start it the same way I always started. But we recorded last week an intro, so we didn't have to intro every time. And then we've been doing this. I mean, this is our 231st episode. So we've been doing it the same way for a really long time.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about changing habits and some of the hiccups that are involved in that process, and why a person can find it difficult, or that it takes a lot of labor or discipline. That's a common way
that it takes, right. Especially if you're trying to stop a habit that you consider, right, a bad habit.
Right. And so there's so many little angles you can talk about with habit, that, for instance, that it's a bad habit, right? But yet you like it, or it's taboo,
right,
but you find it delicious still, So there's all kinds of different ways that you can view a habit. And then but I really want to focus first on this idea that you need discipline, that you need discipline to change something in your life. And Really, what's interesting about that is the only time you need discipline, or the level to which you need discipline, is equal to the amount of difficulty you see in the new option providing a better outcome.
Right.
So if you don't believe that the new option is going to make you happier, and I hear people say this all the time, that you know,
I know it'll make me happier.
right, but it's deferred gratification. This is where it automatically does a weird switch to deferred gratification. But here's something that's really interesting. And I'm going to throw something out here that's a little bit philosophical, but really important. There is no such thing as deferred gratification. Now, this is a chapter I'm eventually going to put in the book. But everything that you do lives in the moment. So let's say that you have a long-term goal that has what is typically considered deferred gratification, and that you feel you need discipline to get to. Well, what I do know for a fact is no matter how far out that goal is to complete, it requires immediate action to get there.
Yep.
There is no other way. There is no other you don't just land into the future and you don't land at the top of the mountain. So this idea, so if you frame a deferred gratification long-term goal as that, it's very demotivating.
Yeah, it is.
And I learned this. I'm going to tell a story, and then Michelle can jump in, but I wanted to frame this out this way. I learned this by hunting and tracking deer in the mountains, or game animals, whatever. And when you're in the mountains and you're in what we call the big woods, so you might be in 2 million acres of forever wild wilderness. And it's just you as a little dot and this animal that's miles away from you. And it might be 2 mountains over, but you don't even know where that animal is, but you have a goal to go get it, right? And so you're tracking along, and as soon as your mind starts to project to where that animal might be, you become demotivated. It's like literally instantaneous, because you're no longer living in the benefit of the moment. You forget that you're living here. You're at the bottom of the mountain. So the question is, how would I motivate myself to get to the top and enjoy the process? Well, sometimes it's so hard because it's a very strenuous thing that it's literally looking down, becoming very focused on the track, and literally putting one foot in front of the other and observing what's called spoor or sign, right? And once you start doing that again, once you ratchet back your mind back into the moment, you're back into short-term gratification. Okay. So it's just how you observe the situation. It's how you frame it in your mind. So if you say to yourself, I just need the discipline to get up this fucking mountain, and all of a sudden now it becomes miserable. You're thinking, you're projecting into the future about your potential failure. What if I catch up to the deer? Am I going to make the shot? Is this going to happen? And all of a sudden it becomes a very anxiety-ridden exercise. You feel futile, you become overwhelmed, and you quit. And that happened to me many years in the beginning of my tracking career to become an expert tracker. And I don't do that anymore. I enjoy the process. So once I realized that every single thing that I do is now, and I can't make the future without the now, all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. It's all short-term gratification. It's all this. What am I doing now? Now I can plan for the future and have some sort of goal out there, but you have no idea. A meteor might hit in the next 10 seconds into the earth, right? And you're never going to achieve that. So you may as well focus on, plan out and then say, I'm going to go get a house in 10 years with my career. All right. But what am I doing right now that I can enjoy in the process of that?
Yes. So when you're trying to change something, and so he went in a different direction than I was thinking.
Yes, I know I did.
He totally, we talked about what we were going to talk about, and then he just willy-nilly goes someplace else.
So maybe that's just a lesson in and of itself. So let's go back to her topic. I knew I did
I'm
that.
like, he lost me, but it's okay. It's okay because what I was thinking about, which really what he's talking about is apropos to this idea of changing a habit. So we build habits around things we see value in doing, right? I mean, you would agree that
Yeah.
that's the way we build habits. And I'm working with somebody that's trying to quit smoking.
Hmm.
And smoking is one of those habits that becomes kind of a part of you, becomes part of your identity. For a long time, not only was it accepted, but this person's my age. And when we were growing up, smoking was looked at as being, practically the healthy thing to do. And both my parents smoked. My mother quit when I was very young. But my dad smoked right up until I was a teenager. And I think, I mean, just like all the adults smoked in our lives.
Yeah.
The teachers all smoked. They all smelled like cigarettes. There, we had in our high school a smoking area that the teachers would smoke with the students.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm aging myself, obviously. So, but things shifted. They shifted. And now almost nobody smokes. There's a lot of people that don't smoke. When you see a smoking area, even in a bar, it's got like 3 people in it at any given moment in time. Most people don't smoke anymore, and it's now looked at as being unhealthy and gross. And so the people that are trying to quit smoking, they heap a lot of shame and guilt on themselves. They think of it as a means of, I'm just not disciplined enough to
Right.
stop smoking.
Right.
They think of, I don't like this anymore. I hate this habit. But you don't hate it because it's a comfort.
Right.
And the way that this person describes her morning cigarette and coffee, I relate to that. I relate to that. I never really had that with cigarettes to that extent, because I never identified myself that way. So quitting smoking for me, I could pick it up and quit pretty easily, which is weird because I seem to be addicted to everything else I did. Um, but I can relate in this way, and that is, and we were talking about this before, I have my morning routine and I've had it for a long time and I like it. It's for a long time, I used to get up and walk, but I haven't done that in years. I walk during the day, I walk in the evening. But I realized if I want to achieve over 10,000 steps, if I put in a mile to a mile and a half walk first thing in the morning, then I'm a third of the way there, give or take. And so I've been trying to shift my morning routine to walking in the morning, and I'm finding it really difficult.
So then you jump in with discipline, right? Do you need
Yeah, like,
that's
do I
where
need self-discipline to get out of bed a half hour earlier? And I get up pretty early as it is. But when I get up early, my comfort, and that's what I was struggling with, is my comfort is I get up, I feed my animals, I start my coffee. I boil water because I make French press coffee every morning. So it's not like I just turn on a coffee. I mean, I do things. Sometimes if there's dishes in the sink, I'll do the dishes. And so I walk around my house. It's very quiet. I'm the only one up except for the animals. Um, but I don't get up and get on clothes and go and walk. And I've done it a few times now. I've done it like twice a week for the last couple of weeks. And then I do what I tell people not to do, and that is I don't do it and I feel shitty for not walking, right? And it becomes this kind of battle. So yeah, even us coaches, like, we have habits, we have comforts. Now, nothing bad is happening in my life. I'm not comparing it to trying to stop a drinking problem. I still get 8,000 to 10,000 steps most days, and I still walk a lot. But clearly, I don't see the value in walking first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so this becomes a really interesting thing. So what you're going to do, right, is you're going to replace discipline with analysis.
Yes.
I'm going to repeat that. You're going to replace the idea of a need for discipline with a need for greater analysis. Because if you were to come to grips with the fact that this is what I really want to do and the benefits are there.
Yeah.
And I want to say this, the benefits are then, like I talked about,
immediate.
like I talked about with tracking, they're there.
Yeah, if I put my clothes on, I will go for a walk. If I get dressed, as soon as I get out of bed, I will go for a walk and I will be absolutely happy I did. I'm never not happy I did.
But it comes down to, if you need discipline, that just tells you that you haven't done the analysis of finding the benefit in the activity in the now.
Yeah.
You know, we sometimes need discipline if we can't see the benefit in the immediate moment. And that is, do I really want to get up and change my clothes and change this trajectory of my life right now? And is there benefit in doing that and then getting out the door? Will I enjoy that? And
will I fight? See, for me, I think I have to shift and find comfort in it. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. That absolutely makes sense. So what we're doing here is, we came into this podcast and I said, let's just be open about something that's a struggle of ours. And I have the identical struggle. I don't like to exercise in the morning. I used to when I boxed.
I did too. I used to love it in the morning.
Yeah, I never did, but I liked boxing so much that I felt like I needed discipline. But I had learned, though, what parts of the workout did I like, and I made sure that I did the fun parts right away to get me
to get you motivated. Yes.
Right.
Yes, I used to do that too. And then when I'd go to the gym.
So I had this long-term goal to fight, and then so did I need discipline? Eventually it just became what I did because I saw value in it. But I really think there's something about ratcheting back your mind and saying, just getting out the door is fun.
Yes.
Because if it's all about disciplining yourself for some long-term goal, and this is why I started it this way, it gets really hard after a week.
It does.
Because
it does. If you think the benefits are somewhere in the future.
Yeah. If you don't see the progress right then, that there's progress leaving the door.
Yeah.
Like that's something extraordinary and beautiful. If you don't frame it that way, if I don't frame looking at the next track and observing the track and saying, oh, what did the deer do here? Oh, he nipped down a bud there. If I don't get interested in that, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Just to go get a deer?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's not why I hunt. I hunt for the process. And I think that it's finding value in the process.
I agree. It is, for me, there's a lot, and I use this in coaching as well. There's a lot about envisioning. There's a word, mental rehearsal. There's like, if I can, the night before, the mornings that I get up and do that, I lay my clothes out, and as I'm going to sleep, I mentally rehearse getting up, putting on my clothes, and I get myself like jacked for it. You know what I mean?
I do.
And when I do that, I will be excited. I'll wake up at 5:30 because I wake up every morning at 5:30, no matter what. But some mornings I just don't get going. And most mornings now, I mean, so I've got, the last couple of weeks, I've gotten up like twice last week, and so far just once this week, to walk in the morning. So the goal is for me to be able to see that as my new comfortable routine.
Well, that now we're getting into the next phase of analyzing things. So now you start having to compare, once you've established what the goal is, and then what you just described was a routine to pull the benefits into the present.
Yes.
Put out the clothes and see benefit in getting up and doing something right then, that's a positive experience, rather than spending the time sitting, having your cup of coffee and scrolling and enjoying your morning that way.
Right.
So
it's just a different way to enjoy the morning.
Now here's what's important. And I want to say this to the viewers and the listeners. Notice what happens when Michelle gets up, because I have the same identical routine. I get up, I turn on the coffee maker. I really look forward to that first cup of coffee. I sit down, I read a chapter in the Bible. I've been doing that. I haven't missed a day. and
It's a good routine.
then I pray on whatever it is that I read, and then I get to going, right? Then I shower, then da 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 da. And I really enjoy that. I'm not sure that walking could compete with that for me. But
Right.
other people may say, or going to work out, or going to have a cigarette, or whatever it might be that people do in the morning. You have to decide what is most important. I can tell you that I probably won't be doing the walking thing in the morning, because that for me works. But for you, the question is, if when you wake up and you hit that coffee maker, you fucking love it.
I do. Well, no, I do love the routine. I love being the only one up in the house, which is left. I mean, it's just my husband and I now, but that's left over from when the kids were little.
Right, right. So something inside your mind has been exploring this idea of replacing that with this new routine.
Which the mornings I do it, I do love it, but I apparently don't love it as much as my routine.
That's right. Now the way you analyze this effectively is the moments matter. And I can't make this stark enough or clear enough here. If leaving the door open, opening the door and walking out into the cold air of the morning isn't better than hitting the coffee maker and doing this, your mind is going to go to the coffee maker.
Yeah.
So you have to ask the hard questions. Do I really enjoy the short-term benefits of moments in this new process? Because what people tend to do is do what I used to do. I got to get a deer. And the whole process was miserable. It became a chore. It became a job. And I see hunters do it all the time. And I see people do it all the time. You say, I want the results of walking in the morning and being that person. Well, that only goes so far, because the reality of moment to moment to moment to moment, from 5:30 in the morning to 7, where you have a routine, where the moment to moment to moment things of getting the coffee maker, sitting down, you are indulging in moments, in short-term benefits.
Yes.
Over here, you haven't fulfilled the analysis to say, are the short-term benefits of literally stepping out the door, walking out past the garage, as good as all the little intricacies that you've built into this other habit?
Right.
So what happens with people is, and they do it with smoking, with drinking, they ignore all that shit. They say, I got to quit because
you're right. You're absolutely
they're
right.
looking out there and they go, look at my life. It's fucked. And I gotta change this. And I go, whoa. You have an entire binge construct that you've built that has massive value. You are ignoring that. And then you're over here. So you're ignoring your actual binge rituals that you value and covet, right?
Yes, that you love.
And then you're trying to go over here to deprivation-based recovery and say that's going to be better than this. And this you haven't even identified.
No. And you're stuck in it, beating yourself up about it. That's the one thing I'm not doing. I think part of this shifting my morning routine is because I haven't had to solve a problem like this in a long time. It's not a problem. I still walk every day. It's just something where I when I get in habits, sometimes I just like to switch things up and change habits. And I really haven't struggled to change a habit in a really long time. And working with this woman and having her talk about smoking and her morning routine was what started me thinking about it. Like I think I would like to walk in the morning. I could think I would like to switch up my morning routine, and I've switched it up with different ways over the last few years, but it pretty much, it's always been kind of me either sitting on the front porch with my coffee or sitting at the dining room table with my coffee and my phone. So I think I'm doing this partly as my own experiment, which I like to do from time to
Yeah.
time,
Yes.
while I'm helping somebody, because this woman is doing really well actually. And she's reduced her smoking. She's cut it down by like 2/3. Where she was, on a pack a day, she's like at three to four cigarettes a day now, and in just a couple sessions, which is remarkable. It's amazing. And but her morning routine one, that's a powerful thing.
It is, if you value that. And I
Absolutely.
think the reason that morning routines are so poignant to people and powerful to people is because you are getting up and you live in the moment.
Yes, for sure.
Now, if you're somebody that is a serious go-getter, your mornings may not be like that. They may be a shift to, I got to shower, boom, 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 and get out the door and get to this next thing. And then that becomes how you live your life.
Which is what mine used to be.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And that can be a sad way to live in certain ways. It can be exciting. It can be very fulfilling. It all depends on whether the process of running out that door, grabbing your coffee, half spilling it on the way to the car, and trying to get to work.
Dragging 3 kids out to the car to bring them to school. And
Exactly. That can be not a lot of fun, but you do it because it's better than not taking care of your children.
right.
So this is all sort of figuring out the value of your time.
Yeah.
And when you're changing something that isn't a horrible experience, drinking and drugging usually is a horrible experience coupled with a very big grouping of benefits you see in it.
For
So
sure.
it's this big thing. And what people do is they look at the costs and they do not look at the bigger picture of all the little intricacies of their construct.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can't wait to get, the rituals, the fantasies, the drug effects, the whole thing that they've invested and given value to. And so when the alternative looks like empty space, it's a hard fucking sell, dude. I mean, that's a hard sell.
All those. Well, that's the hardest part for people, right? When we're asking people those questions of why, the question of why do you like it so much? When people have gone down that road of trying to change and going to rehab and going to meetings and doing all this stuff, the why is totally lost. It's totally out of the picture. And most of the time people are like, well, obviously I'd be happier if I stopped. And no,
obviously that's not true because you're continuing to do something you like. You're just ignoring the like part because you're embarrassed by it.
Even if the like part is, it's my comfort. And that's where I think this is going is when you take something as your comfort, that's a huge benefit.
That is.
Even when your comfort is wholly unsatisfying to you, like down the road, so to speak, like it has super high costs. But if it's still your comfort, you've been willing to pay those costs. And because in the moment, it's your comfort.
Well, see how you did that? It comes right back down to in the moment. It always does, doesn't it? So don't ignore in your analysis on both sides of two different options what you're going to be doing moment to moment.
Yes.
When we deconstruct someone's binge construct, what we do is, first of all, we ignore recovery because that's crap.
Yeah.
Right. That's a total waste of time. An empty, sort of deprived state. That's bullshit. That's never going to compete against this thing that you've built, no matter how bad the results are. But the results with drinking and drugging are almost always after all the short-term moments of pleasure that you're resting out and creating for yourself. So you have that construct, the disco ball that we talk about in the Solution to Addiction workshop. If you haven't taken it, take the workshop.
Yeah, for sure.
If you haven't taken it, take it. It's affordable. It will change your entire perspective on what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So challenging your disco ball of benefits, all those pieces, all those short-term little nuggets of beauty that you see and getting fucked up when you do that, you can challenge it. Then you can challenge it also against all the short-term beauty of the new life. And what happens is two things. People tend to look at things from a macro perspective that is fast and lazy. They say, I should stop getting wasted because of all these bad things that happen. I got that. But they're ignoring the beauty on the front end that they've created. Then they say, I should want a life in recovery or abstaining, but they never fill it with what does that actually look like? Not in the freedom
Right.
model, there's no meetings, there's no distractions, there's just you, an empty space that you have to fill with a new construct. You
Right.
get to build it. So what does that look like? You know? And a lot of times, so we keep it very simple. You have all the benefits of getting blitzed that you've created. And without that, what does it look like? Well, it looks like I don't destroy myself. I have my health. I convert all the negatives into
I
positives.
have more time.
I have more time, and I get to see my children. My daughter's going to let me see my grandkids. All of a sudden, now you're starting to see, oh, but you have to devalue this one first. So like with your morning regiment, the question is, if it is truly, truly satisfying,
Right.
truly deeply satisfying, another option maybe isn't necessary. But if you're finding that you're bored with it,
Right.
this is where things change. And I think this is where you're at.
Yep.
I think that at that point, you have to devalue it and say, boredom isn't that exciting. By its
Right.
nature, it's not.
Or comforting.
Right.
Or comforting.
Yes. Yes. So
Because for me, that's what it's all about.
that's right. So
Is
you
the
have to
comfort.
challenge the benefits of the first option first.
You know, that's so interesting because we did that with the evening, because we had our routine in the evening, right? Our routine in the evening for a long time was we come home, we had one of us cooks dinner, whoever gets home first, or we cook dinner together if we both get home. Then we would sit, we watch our game shows. We're a little old couple watching our game shows while we eat dinner in the living room. And then we would just literally sit there the rest of the evening watching baseball or one of the shows we're watching on Netflix or whatever, and go to bed. Well, we shifted that up to walking after dinner. And we've been doing that pretty much since the weather broke for the winter, like probably March, April. And so most nights after dinner, we go for a long walk. We take the dog for a walk, which she gets very excited about, by the way.
Mhm.
And that is now the comfort.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So, but that was kind of easier for me to shift because I was super bored.
Well, that's it. So you challenge the benefits of sitting and watching TV because there were benefits there for
There
a long
were.
time. And then all you have to do is step back for a minute and challenge those benefits. And then that opens what we call the window of opportunity,
Yeah.
right? Because now you have this space out here that doesn't have anything in it anymore. And you say, well, okay, if I'm really bored, what else could I be
What
doing?
else would we do?
It just naturally goes to exploration, and you move forward. Now, I'm not talking about replacement here, because what Michelle did first was she identified boredom.
Yes.
She identified the mundane existence of that little window in time in her life. And if you challenge that and you say, I want more, well, then naturally you'll go get more.
Yeah, I want to spend. Well, you know what's interesting is it was harder. My husband's a creature of comfort too, right? He knows him,
Mhm.
and he loves watching television. I mean, really loves it, which is nothing wrong with that, by the way.
That's right. That's right.
And so I started walking without him initially, and then he was like, "Well, I don't want to be here sitting here by myself," because we both work separately all day long. And so it really did become quality time. Like he saw it as like, now we look forward to it. Like it's much better quality time together than sitting watching shows, looking at our phones. And we usually go for like 45 minutes to an hour. So it's a nice long, it's a nice time to spend together unless we're going out doing something else in the evening. So it's very, unless it's really bad weather out, we're out there together, and it is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So this whole thing about changing habits is analysis and inventory of value and benefits.
Benefits.
You know, the costs are what the costs are, and the long-term results are what the long-term results are. And if you shut all that analysis off and you just look at this is what I'm doing, and this is the construct that I've built around this. In your case, it was watching TV and all that. Interestingly enough, I'm such a psycho that um, I had to learn how to sit.
Oh, me too.
I had to learn how to sit. I was not enjoying my life because I was so incredibly lonely and lost as a young man that I just filled my time with goals and just went at them like a tiger. I was insane, and I would almost walk
You
all
were
over.
always doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember one night working at the retreat in the early years where it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We had been working on financials and some marketing stuff with some volunteers. And I remember all the volunteers looked at me. There was two people in the room, and Jared had just left. He went to bed. He just couldn't take it anymore. And I said, all right, guys, let's get going on. And they looked at me and they said, dude,
It's bedtime.
it's fucking 2 a.m. Are you at? And I realized that I was totally exhausted, like
Yeah.
blind exhausted. And I didn't know how to not be that way. So for me, my goals have sort of brought me into a much more domesticated, but it took 20 years
Yeah.
of slowly changing and coming to a place where I'm really comfortable and happy. I still take care of myself. I still work hard, but I had to find balance.
Yeah.
So my goal became about balance, making sure I didn't neglect my kids, all that kind of thing. So yeah, look at all of this is based on not skipping the analysis part. I can't tell you how many people come into coaching thinking I'm going to fix them.
Oh, that's such a good
Like,
point. And I've had to say that there's nothing magical
yeah,
that happens. Like if I like how many people we get that come to us and they're waiting for us to say the magic word or reach through the screen or even when we have people here at the workshop, that just kind of sit back and wait for to feel different.
yeah, it's a remarkable thing, and I tell people, I can tell within one session. I go, listen, you do understand that I'm not here to fix you. I have no power to do so. And any therapist that's ever told you, or any rehab that has given you some sort of bullshit recipe, none of that works. The only thing that works is you, your mind, and analyzing the value of your decisions. And there is nothing that can replace that.
No.
Nothing. So that sets up a completely different relationship. I just start asking questions, and then I give them assignments on self-analysis, and their lives change.
Well, because
rapidly.
We have insights, right? We have insights. Here's one thing that I think is really important if you're trying to change a habit. It's been the most important thing for me over the years because I've had a lot of things I've had to change. And that is to not look at the thing you're trying to change as being objectively good or bad. Okay. So if you are somebody that likes to sit and watch television, that's your way to relax all night long, and you're happy doing it, great. Don't let anybody tell you that's bad.
That's right.
Okay? Because if that's working for you and you're not bored with it and you're happy with your life, you should be doing that, right? So if you're trying to change it, like if you like to sleep in until 7:30 and you have to be at work at 8:30 and you like to sleep in and rush around and get to work, great. That's not something that I'm not happy doing that. Like I never have been happy doing that. So I don't do that. But it's not good or bad. I want to change my morning routine because I am bored with it, because I do know that there are real benefits to doing it differently. And I know how happy I was and am when I get up and I do that in the morning early enough because I can have both things.
Right.
Like I know I can have both things. I can get up, get my clothes on, feed the animals, go for a walk. My dog will be super happy. I feel great. And if I do it early enough, then I have time to sit down and have my coffee, make breakfast, and have breakfast with my husband,
That's
do
good.
all
That's
those
a good point.
things.
So it doesn't have to be
So I
mutually
don't have to do
exclusive. Right.
either or.
Right.
I don't. And my outlook on the day, like the immediate benefits are there for me. And it's just a matter of hyping myself up and seeing them as I'm getting out of bed.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to give it a chance to enough to see if the benefits are actually there. I've done a lot of things where I said, I'm going to go
Right.
do this. And
Then you're like, no.
and I'm very well accomplished at looking at the moment. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to making a shift in my life, I've learned that because
Which takes practice, by the way.
it does. Because if you're like me, a psycho who's looking at long-term goals, and I'm just like a machine to get there, you can spend a year of your life and it's a blur and it's meaningless. And you end up at the
Right.
top of the mountain and it
And you
means
missed the journey
yeah,
entirely.
and there is nothing but the journey. The journey is in the moment. There is. So what do I have at that point? A blind sort of path up to a mountain that becomes endlessly meaningless, really, in the end. So it's really all about, it's not strength, it's not willpower. If you need strength and willpower, the analysis of the value of the moment is missing in your analysis. That doesn't exist. So you have to back up. Don't be lazy. And I'm going to say this flat out, like I would say it in a coaching session. Don't be lazy in your analysis.
That's it.
You have to figure out, do I really enjoy moment to moment this process? I always think of David Goggins, who just tortures himself.
Yes,
he's probably the most, he's psychotic in the way he deals with things.
What was the name of that book that we Can't Hurt Me?
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called.
But what's interesting about him is he revels in pain.
Yeah.
And he
sees value in it.
He sees value in pushing himself in the moment. And when you read his book, you can see it.
Oh,
he knows every part of every, Ironman competition, all these super marathons that he's done. He talks about the trail, the rocks, the mud, the weather, the temperature. He knows you want to know why? Because he's present. He's decided, I'm going to live this. Yes. And I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this outrageous thing. And he knows everything about it. But then you read about people that are very unhappy doing things, and they talk about getting the goal and then being devastated that it was over, because the only thing that mattered was that moment. And then it was a super letdown, because it's a moment. It's one moment, then it's over. Then you're on to the next thing. Then they need another mountain, and they spend their lives destroying lives and ignoring their wife, 2 divorces later, and they're still miserable. So it's real important. Analysis is real important, because we have the capacity to think and analyze.
Yeah.
So don't be lazy there.
Yep. Mindfulness. And it can get, when you're trying to change a habit, solve an addiction, whatever you want to call it, the mindful part of it can seem tedious for a little while. It does, I think, sometimes feel like you're fighting yourself, but don't frame it that way. Frame it as, I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring out how I can be happier. Don't beat yourself up. Don't look at it as, that's a bad thing and I need to do this good thing over here.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of, this is something that I've really liked to do. I've created value in doing, which in the solution workshop, you'll see how you created that value. I've created value in this. What is it? What is the value I've created? And is this activity really providing it for me?
And if you struggle to understand how to analyze, even with the workshop, let's say, then with Michelle and I, or one of our coaches coaching you, we will give you assignments. And to Michelle's point, people are always shocked after my first session where I say, okay, if you're, a quote unquote porn addict, I hate that word, but that's the way people frame themselves.
That's the way they think of it.
I say, okay, indulge in your fetish this week for 3 times or however many times you're going to do it. I don't want you to worry about it. And they're like, really? You don't want me to stop? I go, no, I don't want you to stop. I want you to figure out why you like
Figure it
right?
out.
And then I would have a very pointed assignment based on your situation. I had a fella who I was coaching, and he said, in the workshop, you said to do this, but you're telling me to do the opposite. I said, yeah, because I just listened to your story and I can tell that your analysis has to be done in reverse. And he's like, and then it changed him. He came back and he was like, oh my God, I figured out why I do what I do, what I'm trying to fix with watching porn. And I do the same thing with people with substance use, obviously. Been doing that forever. So a lot of times, if you're so the book and the workshop, it will frame everything out for you. But if you need somebody to sit there and tell you exactly how to do it
for your specific situation, because we can't possibly know what that is. And so the workshops, the online program, all that stuff we've created is massive amounts of information that can help everybody. But sometimes there's nuance and everyone is unique.
And I think that there's value for certain people to have, they feel like they need some accountability with somebody.
Yeah, that is true.
And I don't hold you accountable. That's
that's not what we do.
Well,
But
I couldn't possibly hold you accountable. It's fucking bullshit. I mean, that's silly. You know, you're an autonomous creature.
Yeah,
go
right.
do it.
And a grown up.
Yeah, go do what you want to do. But the assignments are based in such rational ways that, and with the workshop they are as well. It's so rational and so non-judgmental that you can finally put all the guilt and shaming and all the nonsense and all the rehab crap on a shelf, and you can say, okay, let's really look at the utility or the futility of this habit. Let's analyze it deeply. Let me figure out what the hell, why am I even doing this? You know, right. and then move forward.
How much do I still like it?
Yeah.
So I hope this has been a helpful discussion for everyone. I'll keep you all posted on my morning walks, and let you know how it goes in the next episode of the Addiction Solution Podcast. If you want to look into our workshops, go to thefreedommodel.org and rate at the menu, and if you're on a phone or a mobile device, you click the 3 bars and you can see our menu come down, and it's the first 2 things, the solution workshops that we have. We also have solution to addiction coaching packages, which are fantastic. I think we talked about them in our opening of this podcast, but they are on those solution pages as well for you.
Yeah.
So, and give us 5 stars if you like our podcast, and let your friends know that they can solve their addiction without meetings, rehabs, endless recovery nonsense. We can help them.
Yeah, just move on.
All right. And if you want to talk with us, call us 888-424-2626. And I believe that number now works internationally with a 1 before it. So, all right, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.